Jake had broken into 42 houses in 6 years. He had a system. Rich neighborhood, no cameras, no dog, lights off for 3 nights straight. This house checked every box. What Jake didn't know was that this house had a system too. And Jake was the product it was built to harvest. He picked the lock on the back door in under 90 seconds. A personal record, actually, though there was no one around to give him a medal for it. Dark hallway, expensive rugs, the kind of silence that usually meant money. Jake moved room to room with a flashlight between his teeth, looking for a safe, jewelry, anything small and expensive. The living room had none of that. No TV, no electronics at all, which was strange for a house this size. Just a single locked door at the end of the hall, heavier than the rest, with a deadbolt on the outside. Doors don't get locked from the outside unless somebody wants to keep something in, not out. Jake should have left right there. He didn't, because greed makes bad decisions look like good ones. He picked that lock too. Behind it, stairs going down into the dark, and from somewhere below, a sound he hadn't heard since his last tour overseas. Someone breathing wrong, ragged and shallow, the sound people make when they've stopped expecting anyone to come help them. Jake had been an army medic once before the burglary thing, before everything fell apart. That part of him, the part that couldn't walk past a person in pain, walk down those stairs even while the smarter part of him screamed to run. At the bottom, 4 people were chained to the wall, not tied, bolted into the concrete professionally. Like this wasn't the first time. 2 were alive. 2 very much were not, and had been for a while. On a steel table near the wall sat a tray of surgical instruments, clean, organized, recently used. Jake had walked into a lot of bad situations. He had never walked into somebody's operating room. The woman still breathing looked at him and said one sentence that Jake would never forget. "You have to leave before they get home." "They only take 1 a month." "You're early." Jake asked her what she meant by take. She didn't answer with words. "Oh!" He just looked down at her own leg, which ended in a bandaged stump where a knee used to be, cauterized with a precision that a butcher couldn't manage, but a surgeon could. That's when Jake understood the empty living room, the unlocked back door, the too perfect setup of a house that looked easy to rob. It wasn't unlocked because the owners forgot. It was unlocked because they wanted somebody exactly like him to walk in. Burglars don't get reported missing. Nobody calls the cops looking for a guy who broke into your house. That's the beauty of the business model. Jake wasn't the predator here. Jake was inventoried. Headlights swept across the basement window, a car in the driveway. Jake had maybe 90 seconds before whoever ran this house walked through that front door and found their newest delivery standing upright instead of chained to a wall. He grabbed the surgical tray, not to use it like a doctor, but like a weapon, which is a very different kind of training, but same set of hands. The family that walked in was almost disappointingly normal. A father in a golf polo, a mother with reading glasses pushed up into her hair, a teenage daughter on her phone not even looking up. This was Tuesday to them. That was the detail that turned Jake's stomach more than the basement did. The casualness. The mother clocked him first, and her face didn't show fear. It showed annoyance, like he tracked mud on her floor. "You're not supposed to be standing," she said, in the exact tone of someone scolding a dog off the couch. Turns out Mom used to be a transplant surgeon before her license got pulled, for reasons the daughter cheerfully summarized as a whole thing. Dad was a cop, 22 years on the force, which explained why nobody in this neighborhood ever came looking for the missing men who'd broken into this specific house over the years. He wasn't hiding the crime. He was the reason it never got investigated. The daughter, 16 years old, asked her mother if she could keep his kidneys for her college fund like last time, and said it with the same energy as asking for a car. Jake didn't have a gun. He didn't have backup. What he had was 6 years of breaking into places that didn't want him there, and before that, a career of keeping soldiers alive with whatever was in his hands at the time. Dad went for his service weapon on his hip, off-duty but never unarmed, old habits, and Jake closed the distance before the holster snap even finished clicking open. Cops train for a lot of things. Getting rushed by a man who has personally decided he has nothing left to lose is not usually one of them. It was fast, and it was not clean, and it was not the kind of thing Jake was proud of afterward. But he told himself the same thing every soldier tells themselves eventually. It was them, or it was him, and the 2 people still breathing in that basement. The daughter ran. Jake led her. Chasing a 16-year-old through a house full of evidence wasn't a fight he needed to win tonight. Freeing 2 dying strangers was. He got the survivors out to the driveway just as the first neighbor, drawn by noise, called it in. Ambulances came. Then police? Actual outside police, not the homeowner, obviously. And Jake sat on that curb in handcuffs explaining a story that sounded, even to him, completely insane. A burglar breaks into a house, finds a torture basement, kills a cop and a disgraced surgeon in self-defense. No jury believes that on paper, except the basement was still full of medical medical equipment logged under a police badge number that hadn't been used to buy so much as a box of gloves in 4 years. The physical evidence did the talking. Jake couldn't. Here's the twist that made this story actually spread online instead of quietly disappearing into a court file. The daughter wasn't caught running from the house that night. She was caught 2 counties over, 3 weeks later, breaking into a stranger's home at 2 a.m. Using her mother's exact technique: unlocked back door, no cameras, no dog. She hadn't run from the family business. She'd inherited it. Solo now, still looking for her next delivery. Jake didn't go to prison. Self-defense, corroborated by 2 survivors and a house full of damning evidence, got him cleared in 4 months, faster than most divorces. He also didn't go back to burglary. Funny thing about breaking into 42 houses looking for money, the one house with nothing worth stealing ended up paying him more than all the others combined. Once the story rights and the interviews came knocking. Sometimes the worst house on the block is the one with the best lawn. And somewhere, in a different state, under a different name, a 16-year-old girl with her mother's steady hands is still leaving back doors unlocked on purpose, waiting for the next guy who thinks an easy house means an easy night.